So here's a video of what buyers should know before buying an older home here in Central Florida. Now, first thing is, where do you find these older homes? And they kind of fit in two categories. You have the older homes that's going to be very affordable in an affordable area. We're talking, especially if you're looking, outside in the country, like, further from major cities, like, downtown Lake Wells, downtown Bartow, or up in Leesburg, downtown Leesburg area. So outside of major cities is where you're going to find affordable homes, but the affordable older historic homes, which is going to be great for investors, great for first-time home buyers. I mean, some of these houses like are very affordable where it makes it easier for you to purchase to get into these houses in one aspect, and I'll tell you why. And then the other type of homes of these older homes are going to be more historic, more in the luxury areas in I would say prime location where you're not just buying the home itself, you're really buying the location, and the home is just a plus. But the home allows you to live in the location that is a highly desired area. So let's dive in. Let's first talk about older homes in an affordable area. So these homes, we're talking, and I'm talking about older than 1980. We're not talking about, early 2000s. That's going to be more suburb area, but in, older homes from 1980, 70, 60, 50, even to early 1920s. And there's a lot of homes built in the 1920s, but those houses, one good point for both either affordable or high price, they're both located in prime locations. Now, those prime locations depend in how big of the city it is, or, because some could be in Orlando, in like downtown Winter Park or Winter Garden, or the other place could be like in Lake Wells or Avon Park or Sebring, where it's going to be older town and have, those prices will be way cheaper than the Winter Park, Winter Garden area. Now, the entry levels of these prices, I would say in 2025, 2026, we're looking under $250,000 unless we're talking bigger than 4 or 5 bedrooms. Then I've seen those in the upper 300s. But sometimes those are um, almost like a plantation style home. They're very large, over 2,000 square feet, big acreage, sometimes on a main lake or on a main road. So those are going to be a little bit different. But for the average majority of the homes that are older in these affordable areas, a common trait that they all have, they're smaller than a typical new construction or a typical house that most people you would find that's in the 1990s plus style, because those homes, the master bathrooms are bigger for the newer ones. All the closet size are bigger, where when you look at older homes, the closets are smaller, and some older homes don't have a second or third bathroom, where the master bedroom may be a slightly bigger than the other bedrooms, or if it does have a bath, some don't have bathrooms, and if it does have a bathroom, it'll be either a small full bathroom or a small half bath. It's really rare for older homes to have the full effect of the having the full bathroom like we see in new constructions. They do have limited storage space, so that's a reason why they're smaller. They're very beautiful. I'm not trying to push you away from them, but it's just something that you should know as a buyer. I think they make great Airbnbs as well, especially if it's located in a good spot, because they don't really need a lot of closet space. So if you buy it, you keep it. Later down the road, you want to Airbnb it out as a hotel or a bed and breakfast or something like that. It's going to work out great. Now, um, with these areas, you know, some things you're gonna have to keep in common with these homes. more than likely they're going to have older electrical panels, galvanized pipes or cast iron plumbings, older roofs, aging AC, AC, systems could be at least 15, 20 years plus. Termite and damage and moisture damage is very common. Some homes are built cedar and you don't see that. Other homes are built, especially in Florida, if it's on the ridge, they're kind of homes that were built for farm workers who were working the citrus farm, and these houses have a crawl space, but instead of putting them on bricks and building up from there, what they did is they put them on 4x4s, and then if you go underneath the house, you can see these tubes, these mud tunnels, and those end up being subterranean termites. So, if possible, if you see one of those, the best ones are going to be the ones, of course, that's on a solid foundation instead of a wood foundation. And trust me, there are some that are on wooden foundations, which they're bad. Even if it's cedar, it's still pretty bad. So with those older homes, it's going to come at a risk of repairs. Hopefully, the sellers, or the previous people who were there made a lot of repairs or took care of the property throughout the years. But when you're purchasing these homes, make sure you get a 4 point and a wind mitigation. That's going to be free insurance, and get the insurance quotes early because older homes tend to have higher insurance costs. So it may be affordable in one aspect, but when the insurance company is charging you twice as much for this home versus what they would charge you for maybe a new constructions, that could offset what you're paying monthly for that home. So make sure the price reflects the condition of the home, and that's where your realtor comes in to make, especially with the inspection, we could really negotiate some good stuff on that. But these homes are going to work out great for first-time home buyers, folks who are budget cautious. If your family relocating, you want to move into an area and you want something that's going to be affordable. These older homes are going to work out a little bit better. I think they're built solid. I have a 1926 house, so it's 100 years. This year makes it officially 100 years, but we've survived every single hurricane. I've had a tree fall on our house and nothing has happened to our house. I mean, the insurance inspector went, checked everything. Nothing was cracked. And my house is a wood frame home. And in fact, it broke the tree, and if you could see the size of the limb, I mean, it was a huge, huge thing. That it happened like 3 years ago, 3, 4 years ago, and we still have wood that we've been using it's from a big oak tree that we've been using to make firewood from and smoke, barbecue and whatnot. But it was a huge oak tree, bam, hit our house, and I and the home is built solid. My house is cedar, but the wood it's so old it literally petrified itself. So there is some pros of having that. Now, let's talk about the older homes in the best located areas in Florida. And when I'm talking about this is the locations can vary and within time things can change, you know. But I would say older homes, one of the prime example is older homes in downtown Winter Garden and downtown um Winter Park to downtown, like, or really all around Winter Park. And I'm saying that is because when we first moved to Florida, like 1998, early 2000s, the downtown Winter Garden area didn't look so good. It wasn't a place you wanted to move to. I remember there was a lot of cops going in and out of that area. And the downtown area was just dead. There was just no business, nothing thriving in that area. The city came and remodeled that spot. And then they added a splash pad. A bunch of families started coming in, and the area started just booming. More restaurants came in. They built a parking garage, and I mean, you go there now, it's never a dull day. It could be off season. You go there at night, there's a lot of people. It's kind of hard to find parking, which is, in a sense, is kind of good for the businesses. You want that attraction, but those houses went from I remember I went out when I first became a realtor and I was looking for houses. There was a house there for $126,000. And I was just like, this seems really affordable, but I don't know. I don't like the area. And then going back to the same spot, this is 10, 15 years later, the same house is like 400, $500,000. And the place has changed significantly. It's made such a large change. We're talking tiny homes. We're not talking like, these big mansions. We're talking these tiny homes. They're still $400,000 plus. And now they have some, the area built some townhomes that they're like up to $800,000 plus in those areas. But what makes that so great is going to be, all the shops, it attracts people to the area. So these homes are closer to downtown, closer to the lakes. They've added new hospitals, new businesses, new jobs. So it becomes a desired neighborhood. Now, what was once an area, not so interested, it's become prime, which makes it really a good idea if you're an investor, long-term investor looking to buy property and hold. Maybe it's great to buy in those other old downtown districts and just buy a home, rent it out, and then, like I would say Lake Wells, the downtown area, there are still homes that are very affordable. We're talking under 350, under $300,000. You could still find homes here, but they're remodeling the whole downtown area. Give it 10 years from now, we may see something like what happens in in Winter Garden. You look at Winter Park. I remember behind the movie theater a long time ago, I was showing houses to my brother, and he liked the Winter Park area, but there was a three-bedroom, one-bath house. It was a pretty small home, and I think that was the only reason they didn't want it. But the area was, it was okay. Now those areas, that all the homes there are the same, and that's like 5, 6 years later. They're four or $500,000 more than what it was back then. It is so much higher. But you have a Whole Foods there. I mean, they just redeveloped that whole area to make it way more attracting. So you don't have to drive far away. You could just walk to where you want to. So it makes the area very desirable and a lifestyle that most people want to be in. If you want to go to the movie theaters or Cheesecake Factory, you could just walk or take a bike, or, if you're driving there, you don't have to drive so far. It's in your backyard, and it makes it kind of fun. And it makes it where a place wants to be. But just because it's in a higher desired area, maybe a luxury town, that doesn't mean these older homes are still going to lack the same basic things. You're going to have the termite issues. You're going to have, the galvanized pipes, the cast iron plumbing, the roof issues, the insurance problems. You're going to still have some of these things with these homes. So you're going to have to, if you're looking to buy these homes, that's going to be a greater investment, because where you're at, and let's say 10 years, you're just tired of being so surrounded by people. You want to be out in the country. Well, guess what? Selling a house like that's going to be way easier if everything is upgraded. And then if you want to rent it out, it's going to be a highly desired spot. But it's best to, when you're looking to purchase, make sure these things are taken care of. Electrical is a huge thing with older homes. One of the very few of homes I've seen that are like, pretty old, they have a knob and tube. So that's, no insurance is going to cover that. Then you have cloth wire or aluminum or cloth wire. Same thing. Most insurance are not going to cover that. Maybe cloth wire, if it's in good condition, that's a maybe. But best thing to do is get everything fully, fully, fully fixed. So that way, when you do get insurance, everything is going to be, everything is going to be very, safer and better taken care of. So with both cases, like I said, mold, humidity, rot, and wood. A lot of these are wood frame homes. If they have older roofs, there may be some water damage. So those are some things to consider. My thing, if you're buying an older home, if possible, I would keep a metal roof on there because most shingle roofs, even if it's architect, they could tell you it's 25 years, lifespan on that. It's I've seen after once it hits 15 years, it makes it very hard to sell. And sometimes, depending on the hurricane, it could still damage that roof. So when you have a metal roof, they could last, you know, they put on there for 50 years. So if you're at 50, you put on a new metal roof on your house. By the time you're 100, that's when you may have to change it. But these metal roofs usually are a lot better, and you could always paint strong coating on top of it to make it last longer too. So that's going to be the thing. Now, for a smart Florida buyer deciding, you have to consider, am I buying for the price? If you're a first-time investor, maybe buying in an older town, that's a little bit quieter, the prices are lower, might be a better option for you because getting a rental in that area, because it's more highly dense, it's going to work out better for you. Or if you're going to be someone who I want to be in a prime spot, so I want to buy in a higher location. So that's going to be an option for you. Do you want a lower cost entry or a long-term application? Those things you got to think of. Do you want repairs now or later? And don't be afraid to buy an older home. I bought my house for $76,000. I bought my house here in Lake Wells. Everywhere else I checked was at least $40,000, $50,000, way more. We bought a house here in Lake Wells. We had to put in about, it was well taken care of, but I still wanted to put in some extra upgrades, and I put in a brand new fence all around my property. So with everything together, we still spent about an extra 15, maybe $20,000 in repairs throughout the 6 years living here. Um, but still, that's way cheaper than me going somewhere else to live. And my mortgage it's so low. I'm paying, just a little bit over $700 a month to live where I'm living. So it's like, why would I move? I love where I'm at. But the cost is a lot cheaper. So just kind of think of that. Now, if you're someone who, you know, you need something now that's going to be, I can't do repairs. I'm worried. You're just very timid. I would consider something newer. That's just going to be the thing because when you purchase a home that's older, you have to just keep in mind or set some money aside for repairs. It's just going to be the thing. Not saying that they're bad, it's just a wise thing to do. If you're timid and very worried about, the cost of all these things, then buy a newer house. It's really, you see a lot of stuff on YouTube and whatnot of older homes, but call me to help you buy a newer home, and I will help you avoid a lot of the issues those people are dealing with. So that's gonna be a thing. Affordable homes must make sense on the condition plus cost. Now, the best located older homes must make sense on the location and the future value. That's how you would associate the both of those homes. Now, older homes aren't risky. They're just, like I said, they're just, you know, for uninformed buyer, they're tremendously risky because you walk into a place and like, what did I just do? I can't believe, this is plaster. Plaster is not like drywall. When you tear down one thing, you got to like tear down the whole wall. You have to kind of know a thing about older homes. If you have to replace some electrical stuff, you may have to replace the whole house. If you have to replace some plumbing, you may have to do the whole area. But once you have that done, you're taken care of, and now you still have a beautiful home. And I think older homes have a way better like design than some of the newer houses. The newer houses are all cookie cutter homes. They're they don't feel so homey in a sense. They feel very commercial like, if it makes sense. I mean, some look very beautiful, some look very nice, but I feel like the newer homes are meant to keep you inside the house, and that's why I feel like they do a little design work on the outside. But they do so much on the inside. They want you to feel comfortable. Big living rooms, big kitchens, flowing into the living room. They want you to enjoy and be inside the house, which I think most people are kind of most people are into. But if you're an outside person, you want to be outside, you want to, live in a walkable town, walkable area, these smaller homes going to give you more space in your property. But they come with that charm. Each one of these houses, you look at them like, wow, they don't really make these anymore. And I've seen some new constructions, put in porches, put in some roundabouts, but that's going to be like custom homes, or I feel like in a higher price neighborhood. So if you're looking to buy an older home, have be informed about what you're buying into. Know know the pros and cons before you put an offer in. But after weighing everything in, I think there is more pros than cons when it does come to buying an older home, but you just have to be informed. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. My name is Luis Mendez. My phone number is 407-790-6232, and I'd love to help you go from not having anything to finding your dream home. Thank you so much for watching.